Good afternoon, I'm Giovanni Dennis with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're joining us online at onespotmedia.com. Opposition spokesperson on gender affairs, Senator Donna Scott Motley, is urging Government Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith to release publicly harassing emails she says she received from a People's National Party parliamentarian. On Friday, Senator Johnson-Smith made the revelation about the emails while speaking during exchanges in the Senate surrounding the allegations against Westmoreland Central Member of Parliament George Wright. She said she's been advised by the police to press charges against the parliamentarian.
That there was a member, a colleague of yours on that side who had started to send me harassing emails and who I had to report to the police. And I was even advised to stop running for a period of time. And I reached a point where the issue was now whether to issue a public charge, to go public with it. The police were clear that cybercrime was being committed. It was clear I wasn't fair, and they recognized it as justifiable.
She said she decided against pressing charges for political and other reasons. But Senator Donna Scott Motley says the emails must be made public as the accusation has cast a shadow on every male senator.
In that category, sexual harassment. She has, however, cast a pall over every male senator who would have sat with her while she was in the Senate. And I think she went to the Senate from 2011. So she needs to clarify the nature of the harassment, and she also needs to release the emails to the public so the public can see who did it and what it was. I think that is reasonable rather than having everybody now being looked at with suspicion, wondering what it is that they did that would have caused her to be so traumatized and have gone to the police.
A leading criminal defense attorney is calling for the government to amend legislation to admit more video evidence into cases dealing with crimes committed island-wide. Peter Champagne says if this is done, the country could see a greater number of convictions. Shane Masters reports.
Program, the call from attorney Peter Champagne. He says there have been numerous successes in bringing criminal elements to justice since the implementation of the program. Hence, he is calling on the government to make it more easy for persons to be a part of the system, which could help in a reduction of crime.
What I'm proposing is something that would carry it to another level, where the business community in particular would be mandated to install cameras, and these cameras would perhaps come in at a concessionary rate. You could have it as a tax relief.
Mr. Champagne says doing this will put the country in line with Trinidad and Tobago, the Philippines, and a number of other countries which have amended legislation to include video evidence in their cases to fight crime. He says if taken up by Jamaican legislators, it will be a game changer and it will not be an added cost to the government. However, the recent matter of the alleged physical abuse of a woman by a politician was raised. In that case, poor quality of the CCTV footage led to it being dropped.
The camera in question would have to be of a certain specification in terms of quality capturing the images, and therefore it would be reliable in that context. In other words, it wouldn't be any CCTV camera, and it would feed directly into the Jamaica Eye program. And from that feed, what could happen then is that the capturing of the image could be used in court. Of course, our Evidence Act would have to be amended to allow greater reception into evidence, and it could almost amount to a situation where you could just use the image alone by itself once it is proven that it is a registered feeder to the Jamaica Eye and it is of a certain classification and it is registered.
Mr. Shempenny, who was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 FM, says currently, while videos are permissible in a case, the maker of the video is required to attend court. It will also have to be proved that there was no tampering or editing of the video. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Still on CCTV, hoteliers in Negril are calling for the Jamaica Eye program to be fully operational in the resort area to aid crime-fighting efforts. The businessmen say there are a number of private cameras in Negril, but they want them linked to the national system.
It's not just catching criminals, we want to prevent criminal activity. And we think the cameras in the area goes a long way. So we would like to see a stepping up, a ramping up of more cameras in Jamaica, of the Jamaica Eye system where the hotels can tie in.
I mean, they had installed cameras, but I haven't seen them at work. So we need to get more cameras. My property has cameras. So we need to tie my cameras into the government's cameras, and everybody else who has their own cameras, tie them into the government's cameras, and we'll be more effective.
We have no problem. We said before that we are prepared to finance the cost of the camera. It's just a question that things are so slow in Jamaica. Things take so long.
We go now to scenes from an illegal party along Dinera Road in Vineyard Town, St. Andrew on Sunday. Now, these persons are flouting the laws under the Disaster Risk Management Act, which have limited the number of persons allowed to gather to 10. The party also goes against an announcement made by local government minister Desmond McKenzie that parties and other entertainment events are banned until further notice. TVJ News understands that 15 persons were prosecuted and 7 vehicles seized from that event. Operations Officer for the Area 4 Police Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor told TVJ News that the owner of the property and the promoter of the event were among those prosecuted.
And the approach of the police, a lot of people dispersed. They ran from all the places. So we locked down the premises. There are a lot of cars there. So the owner of the premises was prosecuted. And we did this under the Noise Abatement Act at first. The owner of the no permission was given for any dance or any such event anywhere. In fact, that is not going on since the advent of the COVID.
The party was in progress during the curfew on Sunday. Prime Minister Andrew Holness had relaxed the curfews just a few weeks ago from 12 to 2 p.m. on Sundays. Jamaica's COVID-19 case count has increased to 45,145. 141 cases were confirmed Sunday from 739 samples. The Ministry of Health says the positivity rate is now 17.5%. Meanwhile, a 53-year-old woman from Westmoreland is the latest to die from COVID-19 in Jamaica. Her death was previously under investigation. This has increased the death toll to 761. The Ministry of Health is investigating 2 more deaths. The number of persons hospitalized with the respiratory illness is now 253. 27 are in critical condition. And it's now time for a break here on the Midday News, but please stay with us. We'll have much more when we return. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. A massive fire last night at the Oxford Market in downtown Kingston has left scores of vendors contemplating their next move, having lost everything. Sandy Williams has their story.
Dozens of vendors at the Oxford Market in downtown Kingston have been dealt a severe blow after a fire Sunday night destroyed a section of the facility. The fire started about 11:40. Stores, agricultural produce and dry goods were the main items damaged in the fire. Some of the vendors narrowly escaped death as they were asleep when the fire started.
I just find myself in a fire. I hear people say fire when you look fire blaze all about the place.
I was laying down and I heard somebody say fire, fire. Sharon place burning down. I'm a jump up same time. And me jump up now. I couldn't really look back because when me coming around the corner here, the fire in my back, I couldn't even look back.
They were lucky to save their lives, but not their goods. The raging fire torched everything.
I couldn't save anything out of my own because I try to open the door and I get nervous, so I have to just run.
All type of thing. I lose. When I remember some of them, because I kind of feel boomy right now, because at first I really experience them danger or something. Right now, I don't know if I do my boss. Right now, I'm 65 years old, and I start my life and I try to have something in life, and I see that I lose everything now. Gone down and drain my youth. I want people for them load them, I trust, and some wallipers. Several type of load. I work for jelly, banana, coconut, all them things there. Money, little money when I sell, burn up, because when I look for that.
Now the vendors are left contemplating their next move.
I don't know what to do now. I don't have the last cent. But yeah, all the money on the phone burn up.
The cause of the fire has not been ascertained. Public Relations Officer at the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilio Ibanks, says the cause of the fire is being investigated.
We initially responded with 2 units, and after that, the 3rd unit was brought into operation, and the blaze was finally put out. We presently have the investigators on the scene right now trying to ascertain a cause for the fire.
And in terms of the damage, have you been given an estimate?
No, we're still waiting on the preliminaries to come in for that.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
To news overseas now, the U.S. Supreme Court says it will consider the scope of the Second Amendment next term in a case concerning a New York law that restricts an individual from carrying a concealed handgun in public. More from the CNN.
This is the first major case the Supreme Court will take up concerning the Second Amendment in just about a decade here. And of course, you know, this is an announcement. It comes after a slew of mass shootings where gun rights in our country they're being questioned. So this is a case out of New York, and it's a law that governs licenses to carry concealed handguns in public. So this law in New York, it requires residents to show what they call an actual and articulable need to actually carry the concealed guns. You know, it's a very high bar. 2 of these men who were denied licenses, they fought this. The lower court said that New York could put this restriction in place, but now it will go all the way up to the Supreme Court. So this is interesting because we've seen several justices in recent years speaking out about how the Supreme Court should be taking up a Second Amendment case.
To news and sports, the task of qualifying for the Olympic Games has been made slightly harder for Jamaica's men 4x100-meter relay team after Canada withdrew from this weekend's World Relays in Poland. Renata Brown has that story.
Canada has withdrawn from the World Athletics Relay, joining several other high-profile nations who will miss the May 1-2 event in Poland. In a release on Saturday, Athletics Canada cited COVID-19 concerns as a reason for their withdrawal, with their high-performance director Simon Nathan indicating that the travel risks simply outweigh the rewards of competing at the Olympic qualifying event. Canada, who was scheduled to send a team of 24 athletes to the 2-day championship, now joins Jamaica, the United States, Trinidad and Tobago, and Australia as teams to have withdrawn. Last week, the Jamaica Athletics Administrative Association, J3s, announced that athletes would not be making the trip to Poland due to travel arrangement issues. The decision left the men's 4x100-meter relay team in a precarious position since they have no chance of qualifying automatically for the Olympics in Tokyo. According to the World Athletics rules, the first 8 placed teams at the World Relays shall automatically qualify for the Olympics. Those 8 teams will join the United States, Great Britain, Japan, Brazil, South Africa, and the People's Republic of China, who secured automatic qualification as the only teams to complete the World Championship final in Doha 2019. Given the likelihood that qualifiers from Doha 2019 will overlap with those at this weekend's relays, the remaining places will be decided by the World Athletics top list. Jamaica is currently ranked 11th with their 38.15 seconds run from Doha. That means Jamaica could find themselves further down the list, depending on the teams who qualify for the World Relay Finals at the weekend. However, 38.15 seconds could also be enough to take the team to the Olympic Games if other teams outside the automatic qualifiers fail to produce a faster time. Jamaica also has the option of improving on their time by competing in events with at least 2 other nations before the qualification deadline of June 29.
Now, in a Gleaner article on Friday, J3 President Garth Gale said discussions are now underway with a number of overseas entities to have the national men's 4x100-meter relay team compete in a number of meets as they seek to qualify for the Olympics. And that's the Midday News. I'm Giovanni Dennis. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.